Hey guys, this is Jim, WT1W, and you're watching FEP Labs Radio. Thanks for stopping by. So today I want to share with you how to test power on your HF rig or your VHF UHF rig, as the case may be. We're going to test this FTDX 1200 here. I got this, I traded some stuff with a guy for this, and I want to verify that this thing is putting out the right amount of power on all the bands. So there's several ways you can do this. You can do this, of course, by putting the thing on CW or RIDI or AM, something that transmits a carrier, and keying up, and that'll work. But when we talk about HF power, we're usually talking about sideband power. So what I wanted to share with you is the different ways you can do this test. So obviously sideband is the biggest thing. So what I've got set up here, of course, is the radio, and we have a battery over here. This is the Chins battery. This is the MFJ model 849 SWR watt meter, and then this is an MFJ 300 watt rated dummy load. And I'll put links for all this gear that I'm using in this video in the description below. But there's a couple ways you can do it. Now what I like to do is use CW to test, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But first I want to share with you the way it's going to look on sideband. So on this particular radio, this has a nice meter here. We can actually change this to show our output power, and it works okay, and it does a good job. And if I switch this menu to give us the meter settings, we can come over here and I can change that to compression, yada yada yada, and there's our power setting. So I can key up on that, testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. And I can see my output power. Of course, the meter jumps up and down and it's kind of hard to see. That's why I like using something like this MFJ meter. This is obviously large and shows me what's going on, plus which there's a little delay before it drops back off of the reading. So you have a second to look at it and take any notes. So we're on 80 meters. I'm going to set our output power. I'm going to set it to 50 watts. Let's go with 75. I have no reason to doubt that this radio puts out power. I just want to demonstrate this kind of thing to y'all. So on sideband, testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3, audio, audio. And you can see as I say those silly words that I've got power, and then it holds it for a second after the lowest reading. Of course, the downside to doing it on sideband is the power fluctuates with your voice. It works, and you can get an idea of what kind of output power you're putting out, but it takes a minute because you got to say words and make funny sounds. So let's jump to 20 meters, for example. And I'm on some random frequency, and of course I'm in a dummy load. Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. This is me talking in a normal voice, and as you can see here, our power is jumping all over the place. I want to get a good reading on what my maximum power might be. Audio, audio. So you can see that it jumped up fairly high. All right, that works. That works on any band. This will work with any HF radio. Most radios have some sort of power meter built into them. I like having an external one. And the beauty of this particular meter, and this is not a sponsored video in any way, this particular meter also does UHF and VHF as well. So you can just flip the switch and test those two bands as well. It runs off 12-volt power. That's with the microphone. Let me change out to the CW key and show you the way I really like to test output power on a radio. All right, so I've got the key hooked in. Here is our key. This is a World War II era J38 key that I bought off of eBay and refurbed, and I did a video on this key a long time ago. So I've set the radio into CW mode, and this particular radio, the power is per band, and I think it's also per mode. I'd have to read the manual to remember that, and I don't. So I've got it set to whatever I've got it set to, but when you turn it on to CW mode, I don't have to make silly sounds. I can just press the key down, and I get a beautiful, nice carrier, and I can see my power up there on the meter. And let's see, we're set at 93 watts, and we're getting 99, so that's great. Let's kick it down to 50. Do it one more time. And we're getting about 55 according to the MFJ meter. You have 2 meters, you never know which one is right. The onboard meter showing 50, the MFJ showing 55. Your mileage may vary. Let's key it up on 10 meters. Once you get it in CW mode, it's going to work. There we go. And again, the onboard meter showing 50, and the MFJ showing about 53.9, 54 watts. So that's it. That's a good way to test power. The beauty about using a CW key is that this is really just make and break. This is 2 wires. It's a fancy key, but all it's doing is touching those 2 wires together. Several years ago, Smokin' Ape and T.O. and a bunch of other people had a CW key challenge where they made CW keys out of random household things. You know, whatever pieces of plastic and a couple of wires touched together. The radio, this particular radio uses a TRS style 1/4-inch jack. I don't remember which pin is which, but one is ground and then the other, the tip and the ring, are what actually gets connected together. And once that's plugged in, anytime these 2 wires touch, we get output power. So that is a great way to test a radio, and this of course will work on any band to check power output on a radio, because with doing it this way, you're sending pure carrier. Absolute 100% pure carrier. That's all I've got for this video, y'all. Appreciate it. If you would, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. It'll make you happy. And if you want to, I'd recommend you ring the bell down below, because that will tell you whenever I publish any new videos. Thanks, y'all. 73.